Okay, so now we're looking at using long division to factor polynomials. So let's look at what we've got here. We're given a polynomial equation, which is x to the third plus 7x squared plus 4x minus 12. And we are told that x minus 6 is one of the factors of this polynomial. And now we're being asked to factor, find the remaining factors. We know from our lead term here that it's x to the third that we could have as many as 3 factors or 3 possible real zeros. So given what we have here, we're going to use long division to get this from a 4-term equation down to a 3-term equation, or maybe stating it a different way, getting it from a x to the third raised to the 3rd degree power down to a normal quadratic equation. And so here I'm going to do my setup. This is my setup for my long division. I've got x plus 6. I'm going to divide it into x cubed plus 7x squared plus 4x minus 12. Now, on my division, what I'm really going to be dividing and what my focus is here, at least at this point, is how many times does x go into x to the third? Well, x will go into x to the third, x squared, 2 times, x raised to the 2 power. And I write it, pay attention to where I write it over where my squared is. Now, just like in regular division, I'm going to take what I have in the quotient so far and multiply it by the divisor, but I'm going to multiply it by the total divisor. And so I've got x squared times x gives me x cubed, and x squared times 6x gives me 6x squared. And again, just like in what we're normally accustomed to in long division, I'm going to subtract this from the 2 terms that are similar. And so here, x to the third minus x to the third. And notice that I put this, I like to put these in parentheses and stick a minus sign out here because I know I got to change the signs inside both of them. I mean, if I were doing, let's say if I were doing 3 into, let's see, what would be, I need something that's going in 3 times 51, I think would work. If I go to 3, how many times does 3 go into 5? Well, it goes in there 1 time. 1 times 3 is 3. I subtract 5 from 3. I've got 21. How many times 3 going to 21? 17. Same process, only we're doing it with 2 terms. So I'm now going to subtract this. So x to the third minus x to the third, of course, is 0. And now I've got 7x squared minus 6x squared. That gives me x squared, and I bring down this 4x. Now again, I'm just focusing on these lead terms. How many times will x go into x squared? Well, it'll go in 1 time, x. And I'll repeat the process. X times x gives me x squared. X times 6x gives me 6x. I got it in parentheses. I'm going to subtract this expression from this expression. X squared minus x squared is 0. 4x minus 6x is going to give me minus 2x. So I got my minus 2x. I drop down my minus 12. Now, how many times will x go into negative 2x? Well, it's going to go in negative 2 times. And again, I repeat the process. Negative 2 times x gives me minus 2x. Negative 2 times 6 gives me negative 12. I subtract it from what I have here, and minus 2x minus minus 2x, or minus 2x plus 2x is 0. And minus 12 plus 12, because I got a minus minus here, is give me 0. So I have a 0 remainder. So now I've got a quadratic equation. After dividing this one factor, x plus 6, into this polynomial, And so now I can factor this x squared plus x minus 2 in the normal way that we normally think about when we're factoring quadratic equations. And when I do, I've got x minus 1, x plus 2. These are the two factors. If I FOIL this back, x times x is x squared. X times 2 is 2x. Minus 1 times x is minus x. And minus 1 times positive 2 is minus 2. And I've proved back that x minus 1 and x plus 2 are in fact factors of x squared plus x minus 2. And my total three factors of this original polynomial right here, x cubed plus 7x squared plus 4x minus 12, those three factors are x minus 1, x plus 2, and x plus 6. Factoring using long division. Okay, well, let's look at a different polynomial, and maybe with a little bit different wrinkle on this particular one. Here we're given this 6x cubed minus 2x squared minus 16x minus 8, and we are told that 2x minus 4 is a factor of this 6x cubed minus 2x squared minus 16x minus 8. So we have one factor. We're asked to find the remainder. We know we're probably looking for two factors because our lead term is exponent of our lead term is in fact a 3. Now, in looking at all of this, I got 6, I got minus 2, I got minus 16, I've got 8, and then in my factor, I've got 2, and I've got minus 4. I can see that every one of those coefficients and constants are divisible by 2. So I'm going to go ahead and factor out my 2. And one reason for that, I would prefer to have this right here with just a single x with only 1 as the coefficient, or maybe minus 1, but certainly just 1 as the coefficient. And when I factor out 2, that leaves me 3x cubed minus x squared minus 8x minus 4. And my factor now goes to x minus 2. This is what I'm going to use as my divisor in my long division. So I set up my long division. I got x minus 2. I'm going to divide it into 3x cubed minus x squared minus 8x, minus 4. And again, as before, I'm only really looking at these lead terms as I'm determining as I'm beginning to calculate or determine my quotient. So how many times will x go into 3x cubed? Well, it'll go in 3x squared. And again, I put it over my x squared term in my dividend so that I can keep myself lined up. Got to line up properly. All right, now I multiply back. 3x squared times x gives me 3x cubed. 3x squared times minus 2 is going to give me minus 6x squared. Pop the parentheses around them, stick the negative sign out here because I'm going to subtract it. Now, 3x cubed minus 3x cubed, of course, is 0. And now I've got minus x squared plus 6x squared. Remember, I got a minus out here. Minus minus is a plus. Well, that's going to leave me with 5x squared. I'm going to drop down the negative 8x. And again, I'm asking myself, okay, how many times does x go into 5x squared? Well, it goes in 5x times. Got it up here above my x. All right, now multiply it back. 5x times x gives me 5x squared. 5x times minus 2 gives me minus 10x. Got the parentheses, got the minus sign. And so I've got 5x squared minus 5x, of course, gives me 0. And I've got minus 8x plus 10x gives me 2x. I come with 2x. I drop down my 4. So I've got 2x minus 4. Again, I'm only focusing on the lead terms. How many times will x go into 2x? Well, it'll go in 2 times. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times minus 2 is minus 4. I'm going to subtract this expression from the one above it. And 2x minus 2x is 0. Minus 4 plus 4 is 0. I have a 0 remainder. So now I've got 3x squared plus 5x plus 2. Now I've got to factor that. And maybe after some deliberation or trial and error, what you guys use, the slide and divide, maybe you could come back up and you'll determine eventually, hopefully sooner than later, that 3x plus 2 and x plus 1 are factors of 3x squared plus 5x plus 2. So now I'm going to list my three factors of this original polynomial, 6x cubed minus 2x squared minus 16x minus 8. And one of those is 3x plus 2. The second one is x plus 1. And remember, I've got to go back up here to the factor I was given, and my third factor is 2x minus 4. So again, a little bit different wrinkle where I had the opportunity to factor something out at the very beginning to make things a little bit more simple. And I like simple. And so we have factored using long division.